Glasgow is friendly people.
Hi. Let me in.
Music in the streets. Futuristic buildings. An ancient subway. Lots of pubs. And more pubs. So many things to see, like art in the streets in giant murals or art in great museums. Especially at the Kelvingrove, as we'll show you later. The city center is alive with people in the streets on pedestrian lanes lined with shops and magnificent architecture, especially on Buchanan, the main street of the city. Famous for its vibrant atmosphere and rich history dating back to 1777. Now it's the most modern and popular shopping street in the city. Just 700 meters long, easy to visit, but can keep you busy for hours, extending to the concert hall and Buchanan Gallery shopping mall. You'll see much more of it later in the program, but now let's move over a block to George Square, the main plaza of the city. This is the gathering place surrounded by magnificent buildings and, of course, several pubs. Our quick preview takes us by more outdoor eateries at the Royal Exchange Square and onto Gordon Street, running into those happy folks that we met at the beginning.
I put you on YouTube.
Yeah!
Those colorful fashions and that ruffled skirt are very trendy in Glasgow lately. You'll find friendly people everywhere.
Hello.
Hiya!
The second main street of the city is Argyle, which often has music and dancing in the streets. Everybody's welcome to join in the action or just sit on one of those benches that are lining the pedestrian mall. Along with many boutique shops, you'll find Marks & Spencer. It's a great place to enjoy the theater of the streets, the constant stream of people flowing by, with the music, comfortable seats to watch it all from, and lined with shops and cafes. Along with that pedestrian mall, Argyle has a major shopping mall, St. Enoch, that was opened in 1989 with a big range of retail stores and a strikingly futuristic modern architecture, featuring one of Europe's largest glass ceilings. Argyle Street running past that mall is not pedestrianized. Argyle Street is 3 kilometers long, with that pedestrian section extending for about 500 meters. At the eastern end, it changes names to Trongate. It's one of the oldest streets in the city and leads beyond to Glasgow Cross, which was the original medieval center. It's now a funky neighborhood with independent shops, vintage clothing, and some art galleries. There are some fascinating side streets here that we're about to explore. A quick recap on the map shows our route along Buchanan Street and then into George Square. Continuing along Argyle Street, we'll plunge into what's called the Merchant City area, and then later bring you to the third major street of the town, Sauchiehall. There are many large street murals in the Merchant City neighborhood. This one is called Bow Down, Honor the Roots, a monument to diverse people around the world who have been marginalized. Across the street, we've got Merchant Square that was previously a covered market, but has been transformed into a lively hub with bars and restaurants. It's indoors with a roof overhead, but has an open-air and spacious feeling. The Merchant City neighborhood is packed with bars and restaurants of all kinds and prices, along small, quiet streets like candle rigs. Italian, Indian, Turkish, steaks, vegetarian, Mediterranean, they've got it all. These large murals along Ingram Street include a depiction of a menagerie of animals native to the area who seem like they're breaking through the stone wall, looking out from their pastoral garden into the parking lot. Ingram Street is a major thoroughfare offering a variety of stores It's a haven for shoppers, especially here at the Italian Center, which upscale stores and apartments, located along the semi-pedestrian John Street. A few blocks over, we come across a major collection of those street murals along Mitchell Street, including the popular World's Most Economical Taxi, held aloft by balloons. You can find information about these paintings on a website that explains these murals are helping to rejuvenate streets and revitalize buildings, turning them into beautiful pieces of public street art. Walking along Drury Street as we head back towards the center of town, getting to Gordon Street, another one of those busy places with more shops and pedestrian lanes. Gordon Street connects back over to that main thoroughfare of Buchanan Street that we've seen earlier. We're going to show you a lot more of Buchanan Street later in the program, but for now we're hopping on the subway and heading over to West Glasgow to visit some museums. Glasgow is proud of their subway because it's the third oldest underground rail system in the world. Opened in 1896, just after London and Budapest. Now 300 cities around the world have subways. This one shows its age with an occasionally bumpy ride. It has a simple circular route that gets you around town from one end to the other. Coming out of the subway on Byres Road, we're heading through a residential neighborhood, passing some typical terraced housing, bringing us to the Hunterian Art Gallery for a very brief look at their small collection of lovely paintings, primarily Western European art from the 14th to the early 20th centuries, including paintings by Whistler, Rubens, and many more, along with graphic prints and a sculpture garden. A block away, we reach the campus of the University of Glasgow, a magnificent collection of neo-Gothic buildings, and park-like quadrangles open to the public. Then pass through those pointed arches into a stone forest. When you're visiting the University of Glasgow, one of the great sights to see is the cloister. It's this marvelous neo-Gothic series of rib vaultings and columns. It connects the two main quads of the campus. It's really quite amazing to walk through the cloister. You have those Gothic rib vaults overhead and massive columns. It looks like it's from the Middle Ages, but actually it's neo-Gothic, constructed in the middle of the 19th century. Glasgow University is one of the great institutions of higher learning in the United Kingdom. And there's also the Hunterian Museum right in this same building. The stunning architecture alone makes this a worthwhile stop, quite rewarding to visit with its small size and rich collection of varied artifacts, including the Antonine Wall, marking the northern boundary of ancient Rome. Most of these stone-carved plaques were mileage markers along the wall, which was built north of Hadrian's Wall. As the Romans expanded into Scotland by the year 77, and according to their historical records, killed 10,000 of the enemy in a major battle. Roman glass vessels and artifacts from other parts of the world are included in the Hunterian's collection, along with geological and other items. When finished visiting the cloister and museum, have a walk over to the Memorial Chapel. It was built in 1929, but it looks like an ancient Gothic structure, with carved wooden choir stalls and stained glass windows framed by Gothic arches. The university is the fourth oldest in the English-speaking world, founded in 1451 in the center of town, and moved out to this location in the late 19th century. There's a lovely green park next to the campus with a nice path crossing over the River Kelvin, then along another stretch of greenery, an easy 1 kilometer walk that brings us to the Kelvingrove Art Gallery and Museum, guaranteed to be a highlight of your visit to Glasgow. Their collection has so much variety. They've got old airplanes hanging from the ceiling, natural history, many cultural artifacts, and a vast collection of paintings, all of which makes this the most popular museum in Scotland. They have many artifacts from ancient Egypt, including a big stone sarcophagus. How about a collection of old armor? And they've got whimsical, creative, contemporary arts, like these heads hanging from the ceiling. Visitors more interested in paintings and art history will be especially delighted with this huge collection. They've got decorative arts and a collection of furniture in the Art Nouveau style, pioneered by famous local artist Charles Mackintosh. I'll show you a lot more of the collection at the end of the program, but for now we are going back into the streets. We're in the west end of the city, and then we'll be shortly taking you back into the city center. Byres Road is the bustling heart of Glasgow's West End, known for its eclectic mix of shops, cafes, restaurants, and bars, with a vibrant and cosmopolitan atmosphere, influenced by proximity to the university. The convenient subway station here makes it very easy to get back into the town center. You can buy individual tickets, or perhaps you'd rather have an all-day pass. They provide convenient escalator service throughout the system. Glasgow's other main thoroughfare is Sauchiehall Street. It extends right out from Buchanan Street, but has more of a working-class, less expensive atmosphere. One of the town's most famous and bustling streets. In the 19th century, it was a prime location for the grand townhouses of wealthy merchants, then evolved into a major commercial and entertainment hub. Recent improvements have expanded the pedestrian area and planted more trees. A major highlight here is a tea room called MacIntosh at the Willow, a masterpiece of the Art Nouveau designed by Charles Mackintosh. It's a renowned architectural and interior design treasure, first opened in 1903 and lovingly restored to its original glory. Specializing in afternoon tea, it's also a full-service restaurant with an extensive menu. There is also a gift shop, and upstairs they have a small paid exhibition. It's located in a very nice part of Sauchiehall Street with other shops nearby to keep you busy, about 500 meters away from that main street of the city, Buchanan, that we had a brief look at earlier and now returning for a longer look. The Ivy is a great restaurant, part of an extensive chain found throughout Great Britain. I'm not much of a shopper, but I have to bring you into my favorite store. It's Apple, of course. Always fun to see how they've adapted into the old buildings. There's a 3D model of the city center. It helps you get oriented and is especially useful for visually impaired. There are 2 subway stations on Buchanan, and in between, a long stretch of shops ranging from mid-brow to high-end, along with a batch of restaurants catering to a big range of tastes and budget. I did not see any vacant shop windows, suggesting the economy here is doing pretty well. And most people on the street are locals. It doesn't seem to be a very touristic place. Of course, there are gift shops for the many visitors who do come to Glasgow, but there's not nearly as many tourists here as the other top 5 cities of Great Britain. Glasgow annually gets about 600,000 international visitors, out of the total 38 million visitors to the country, of which more than 16 million visit London, of course. Glasgow's Scottish rival is Edinburgh, which gets nearly 2 million annual visitors, all of which enhances Glasgow as an authentic city to visit. Not overcrowded and no over-tourism here. You'll need at least 2 days to see all of the various sites and museums I'm presenting in this video. Bath Street is a major thoroughfare branching out from Buchanan. George Square is 1 block east of Buchanan, and it's a place you'll likely come back to several times, as we're doing in the video. So much to see and do, and some great pubs such as the Counting House, opened in 1870 as the Bank of Scotland in the Italian Renaissance style. The bank moved to a new location, and in 1996 the Wetherspoon pub chain acquired it and converted it into a pub. With its prime location on George Square, it's always busy. The square has about a dozen statues, including Sir Walter Scott, Robert Burns, James Watt, and the only known equestrian statue of a young Queen Victoria. I had a conversation with the local expert who explained to me some of the architectural details and history.
What are these arches?
These are connecting bridges that take you from one side of the building to the other.
These arches are on the backside of a major building called the Council Chambers, which functions as the City Hall of Glasgow, the most prominent building on George Square.
So the architect was inspired by Roman architect. So he based the building around a Roman church, which required a lot of lofty ceilings and archways. And he also incorporated quite a lot of Roman statues throughout the building. Obviously, when the building was first designed in 1882, Glasgow was considered a very, very wealthy city, and mainly because of shipbuilding and trade. Unfortunately, over the 136 years, the trade side of that has died.
But now Glasgow is the largest city in Scotland with a diverse and robust economy.
And what part of the city are we in right
so
here?
This is you in the city centre. So this is you bang on in the city centre of Glasgow. So yeah. Personally, I believe in the last 30 or so years, Glasgow has become more equal. It's very open and accepting of different nationalities. And it definitely is getting more diverse. You're learning from the people that are coming to the city.
Yeah, it's quite a diverse city. You look around, it's no longer all white people.
No, and I think that's important. I do think if you have a city that's all dominantly just one culture, it doesn't evolve.
Glasgow has been evolving from its medieval origins about 1,500 years ago right up through the 21st century, preserving its history while developing into a modern and diverse society. Like all places, it's had ups and downs with economic decline and major problems, but it has emerged into this wonderful metropolis that you've been watching today, enhanced with a casual and relaxed atmosphere that makes it so enjoyable for visitors and locals. Its numerous museums are important attractions, such as the Gallery of Modern Art, with the Duke of Wellington out front crowned with a traffic cone on his head, a youthful prank that has become a tradition. The museum is a showcase for changing exhibits by top contemporary artists from Scotland, England, and abroad, featuring a wide range of types of art created after 1945. It's Scotland's most visited modern art gallery. From here, we walk back over to Buchanan Street to get in the subway for another ride underground, returning to have a deeper look at that massive Kelvingrove Art Gallery and Museum. But along the way, we make a brief stop at the Tenement House, which is a museum showing what domestic life in Glasgow was like 100 years ago. In a typical residential neighborhood, tenements are generally understood to be overcrowded, run-down slums, but it's different in Glasgow. The word tenement just means an apartment, usually for the middle class.
This is a museum. It's run by National Trust for Scotland, and in this building every flat has a bathroom and indoor plumbing, and it had hot water as well, which was quite unusual at the time. I think tenements got a bad name for themselves when in reality they are just another form of building. So tenements come in all shapes and sizes.
There's a bedroom, kitchen, parlor, and bathroom restored to their original condition, complete with period furnishings and household items, showcasing everything from the coal-fired kitchen range to a pot of homemade jam. Even today in Glasgow, people live in comfortable apartments that are simply referred to as tenements. So this tenement house gives us an accurate glimpse at life 100 years ago and even today. If you're going from the tenement house to the Kelvingrove Art Gallery and Museum, one way to get there is take the subway. Or you could walk, but it's a 1.5 kilometer walk. From the subway stop, it's a 700-meter walk. Inside the museum, they even have a small exhibit about the Glasgow subway, third oldest in the world. You will recall our brief visit to this museum earlier in the program, but now we're taking a longer look because this is one of the world's most interesting museums. Due to the spectacular setting and high quality of its extremely diverse collection, exhibiting fine art with many paintings and sculptures, natural history featuring a worldwide collection of exotic animals, and ancient history with the archaeology of Egypt and many other very old artifacts. Quite unusual for one museum to have such a diverse collection. It makes this a great experience for young and old and people of all interests. There's so much to see here that you could easily stay for half a day, exploring its 22 large galleries spread out over 2 floors. From the upper level, you can frequently look down through a columned portico to see what's happening down below. We learned more about it from an expert at the information desk.
Kelvingrove Art Gallery Museum in Glasgow's West End. A sort of late Victorian monumental building, built in the 1890s, Spanish Gothic style. As the name suggests, it's both an art gallery and museum. Upstairs, you've got French gallery, Dutch art, there's natural history, ethnography. There's an organ recital every day, 7 days a week.
Yet one more good reason to visit the Kelvingrove. You can enjoy a free organ concert, and there's no charge to enter the museum. You can listen to that 1 p.m. performance while having lunch at the cafe. The perfect chance to get some rest while in the middle of your busy visit to the museum. There are some chairs set up, or if you're a youngster, you can just sprawl out on the floor. Ever since 1902, the organ has been in the museum's center hall, which has ideal acoustics for enjoying the organ sound, making it a truly immersive experience. Performances are by eminent local organists and visiting players. Elvis likes it too. As you wander through the galleries, you'll encounter masterpieces by artists like Van Gogh, Rembrandt, Matisse, Cézanne, Courbet, Monet, Pissarro, Renoir, Seurat, and figures from classical antiquity. The museum opened in 1901 and has collected over 8,000 objects, including pieces of a Gothic church and some ancient pottery. A great learning place for local school kids. There's a special gallery for the Glasgow Boys, as they called themselves, the most significant group of artists in Great Britain at the end of the 19th century, with a distinctive style and similar subjects, typically landscapes and portraits. And by the 1890s, they began pursuing their own individual paths. There's a special gallery devoted to Charles Rennie Mackintosh, the leader of the Art Nouveau movement in Glasgow at the turn of the 19th century. Along with several friends, they developed the only British version of the Art Nouveau style, which grew out of the studios of the Glasgow School of Art. In 1898, Mackintosh designed this table just for dominoes. Along with furniture, they created glassworks, decorative arts, and other pieces. Another gallery is devoted to the industrial age when Glasgow was producing and exporting goods all over the world. It was an economic superpower, enabling it to fund impressive places like the Kelvingrove Art Gallery and Museum. When done with the visit, walk through the park back over to the subway and ride the train back into the town center. The museum is about 3 kilometers away from George Square, so just ride the train. Speaking of trains, here are the 2 main train stations of Glasgow, Queen Street and Central Station. Central is the busiest train station in Scotland. First opened in 1879 with a mix of Gothic and Italian Renaissance styles, and now with a modern glass roof. It's along the train line that goes north and south all the way to London. But if you are heading across the country from west to east, you'll need to go over to Queen Street Station, located right next to George Square. It first opened way back in 1842 at the beginning of the railroad era, and then it was completely rebuilt in the year 2021 with a new concourse and greatly improved facilities, which is where I'm going to catch my train. I photographed the video you've been watching during my 30-day train trip all the way around Great Britain, visiting 12 major cities and day trips out to a dozen smaller towns, as I will be showing you in other movies. I traveled with a Brit Rail Pass, making it convenient to catch any train I wanted without any reservations, which you can purchase online before you get to Great Britain from various sources, including the very reliable ACP Rail. I purchased the first class rail pass because it's only 30% more expensive than second class and well worth it. You'll get hot meals at your seat and plenty of room. The perfect way to travel. Here's a preview of all the cities and towns that I visited on this train trip. You can look forward to lots of videos about these places. Stay tuned and subscribe. We frequently upload new movies, so please subscribe to our channel and click that little alarm bell so you'll be notified. And if you enjoyed the movie, how about a thumbs up? And we always welcome comments down below. Or if you have questions about the destination, make note and we'll answer them. Thanks for watching.